No, no, no. It looks so translucent while the other ones look so opaque. These are just dust devils? It looks sick as fuck though, dude. The way it's like rising and then there's a difference. It's so impressively beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Or striking. It looks so translucent while the other ones look so opaque. Just dust devils. It looks sick as fuck though, dude. It's like rising and then there's a difference. It's so impressively beautiful. You know what I'm saying? Or striking. Okay, now just lastly too, I've been looking all day for some fucking UFOs. And then after that weird like opaqueness, driving back and there's like, on this hill, there is a solar power station, right? I see like a little ball, like a little like, kind of like those orb shapes, but this is in the daytime. You never ever see that, right? Kind of look like a piece of like folding metal, like whoop, and it just shoots. And it's like right, it'd be like bouncing off like where this is and then the other. Maybe they're right that the fucking aliens do fucking harvest energy off those type 1 civilization, the type 2 civilizations, whatever. Okay, now just lastly too, I've been looking all day for some fucking UFOs. And then after that weird like opaqueness, driving back and there's like, on this hill, there is a solar power station, right? I see like a little ball, like a little like, kind of like those orb shapes, but this is in the daytime. You never ever see that, right? Kind of look like a piece of like folding metal, like whoop, and it just shoots. And it's like right, it'd be like bouncing off like where this is and then the other. Maybe they're right that the fucking aliens do fucking harvest energy off those type 1 civilization, the type 2 civilizations, whatever. It's going accent, note, tie, accent, slide, and then slide down, and then maybe slide again. Yeah. So my best guess is the little like Lego men or whatever, little tsunami guys, are little green men. And then there's grays or whatever. Yeah, I kind of get that. I kind of could see that dichotomy.
Interject really quick for all the really interested people, and I've talked to my coworker about this. Is it black ops? Is it CIA operators? Whatever, highest communicating officers of the CIA, and we're black ops, whatever we call it, whatever it is, where it's like you're on the phone and then it seems like it. I think if you're talking about the ET question, then there really is kinds of energy that can only be shot once, and you can't somehow get around it. And it's not always just humans being that spot on, or if it is, then it's related to like the what are the archons, and even an archon is like a silly idea in this modern age, right? So you're stopping it, I'm good with the rest, but yeah, because I was editing it sometimes to see like woo, somebody's like and then it's like it's gone. It's like, oh yeah, that's only That's only Eric Trump. Sorry, or that's only a. I can't remember more names to try and be snarky, but I'm not being snarky. I'm just being balanced and thoughtful about what could possibly be when I see these things that only exist once and they go away. I'm like, fuck.
Okay, now just lastly too, I've been looking all day for some fucking UFOs. And after that weird like opaqueness, driving back. Okay, my thing just spontaneously turned back on. I don't even know, bro. That's funny that, what was it, like 2 or 3 months ago, the idea, oh yeah, there's also like the tsunami, like little robot sized aliens. There's the snails. Damn it, I get so excited for the movie tonight.
AKA Micromen, AKA Roman gods, right? They would have that kind of, or what is it in Looney Tunes? The guy who's like the Marvin the Martians, yes. Or I think that's it. I'm out of ideas, but yeah, that's what I would call the little green men, and that is within the Venus and Mars, part of the solar system that maybe preceded us or something like that. Yeah. But they're tiny. Oh, I was going to say, lastly, I forgot this part before I forget, is that then, like, the snails are like vestigial aliens. They refuse, slugs, they refuse to die after the extinctions no matter what, but there still is remnants of them. Like I said, that guy with the giant ass snail that's like, whatever, 7 feet in diameter or whatever, that would be one example of a vestigial, whatever, kind of non-human entity that's still around.
Okay, my thing just spontaneously turned back on. I don't even know. That's funny that, what was it, like 2 or 3 months ago, the idea, oh yeah, there's also like the tsunami, like little robot sized aliens. There's the snails. Damn it, I get so excited for the movie tonight. It's just more of that like weird mind machine theory. My ears are like lit. I was bumping the fucking greatest rip-off of Aphex Twin. Oh my god. Or AFX. Cuss, whatever. Not true Aphex Twin, but damn. Yeah, like I said, yeah, it just has to do with the pattern that was in there, and they overrode it, but for like 8 hours trying to get that sucker to make that sound again.
Okay, so on that last, what is it called? That random caffeine rant that I've played, and ending of the thing about phenol chemistry is, okay, check this out though. Right now I poured some yerba mate out of my car, and on the ground, made the asphalt look blacker, like permanently. Yerba mate, I know there are people who are like, oh, it's just the same. But there is one significant difference, is that it does, the green is so green that when you make it, put it into water and it's concentrated enough, it begins to look blue. Now, I wonder if this really does have to go back to my thoughts about that that thing. And I'm sorry to get into it because I'm already, I'm not a specialist. I don't want bad stuff to happen from my posts, get people in trouble and shit. But how is it that it's so blue? What is that? Is it just the minerals? What do they call it? The manganese or something? Yeah. I don't know. But, yeah, maybe do. There's the rest of the coffee check. This is. What? Dude, look at this fucking shit. What? This. Fuck yeah. That's cool.
So it increases renin circulating in the blood. In the brain, caffeine tends to reduce pre-firing release of serotonin, into synaptic cleft. Increases in both synthesis and turnover of norepinephrine occur. Increase in blood and urinary levels of norepinephrine and epinephrine may come from secretions of both the adrenals and sympathetic nerves. The increase is not observed in habitual treated users. So it's like a norepinephrine releaser. That's crazy. Weird science art. It affects dopaminergic systems in the brain. The action is biphasic. Oh, this is the biphasic part, maybe, because I was always like, oh yeah, biphasic, where a tiny bit makes you go to sleep. I'm like, that doesn't seem right completely, but this kind of makes sense. The dopamine level is affecting increase. Yeah. Nicotine interacts with caffeine by increasing the rate of its metabolism in the liver, thus moderating its effects. Again, tolerance to the drugs moderate the moderation. Caffeine's galenic characterization of being, quote, coal is correlated neurochemically in that it is inhibiting certain brain neurons that affect the release of temperature-controlling pituitary hormones. This is just kind of foolishness to me, but I'll keep going. The body, though, the pituitary gland responds by lowering body temperature. It is interesting that amphetamines act different. Like caffeine, they add cooling to the coolness, but unlike caffeine, they respond to warmth with more warming. Yeah, I always felt that. When I first tried Adderall, I was like 20. Oh my god, dude, the circulation in my hands was scary. I'm like, what the fuck? It was, I don't know. It was really intense. Really miserable. Anyway, so on the hormonal glands within the brain seem to be dosage dependent. I didn't know there's hormonal glands. I mean, I guess kind of, but small doses have no effect, while largest doses create effects resembling stress. Neuroendocrine effects can be measured in human beings at doses around 500 milligrams of caffeine, but begin to fade into the ambient hormonal background noise at 250 milligrams. See, my sweet spot when I was talking about that slime that had 380 milligrams of caffeine, I read in a book about nootropics that 300 milligrams of caffeine is somewhat comparable to amphetamine. That's always like my number I was having for a while when I was like, I really need to get going into 300 milligrams. But yeah, that's weird. 500 milligrams is a little bit much. But no, I guess not that much compared to that slime. But oh yeah, so one thing though, I was talking about hormones today. DHEA is which I swear it's weird. It's like it helps the stress of aging, but at the same time you get older from doing it. I don't know how to explain it. Or I just feel like kind of like I don't know how to explain it. Whatever. But there's one thing that people are talking about a lot is progesterone, which is similar to it, but it's weird. It was like a hormone that reverses alcohol, I guess. And when I've taken it, even this tiniest amount, I feel miserably stimulated all day long. And I don't know why people like it, but yeah, the DHA has helped me a lot when my eyes are super irritated and I'm like, I don't want to go to work. And similarly, testosterone, but picture begins to merge multiple actions, multiple receptors, direct actions on muscles, complex actions on neurotransmission. When taken together, with behavioral variables and neurochemical regulation mechanisms, a metastable and somewhat chaotic system emerges. Small differences in the initial state can cause large differences in caffeine's effects. State variables include tolerance, fatigue, and metabolic rate. This is so boring but great. Enzymatic balances, ingrained mental habits with associated responses, existing levels of cortical arousal, and thus in the combining effect of other drugs, including food. Much current research is centering on caffeine's action as an adenosine antagonist, which, okay, I always throw in my stack. I love it, although you can't go crazy with it. With the cordyceps, it's the opposite, and it never really makes you go to sleep, but it does definitely feel balancing, while caffeine is like chaotic. It's hard to explain. And it's like, you know, it's kind of like, it's kind of a fish story, but I swear to God, like I've had back pain, and, you know, I usually take it as a, like a libido enhancer kind of thing, where caffeine is more like focusing kind of thing. Because it doesn't really feel like you're doing anything, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh. Adenosine is found in every synapse in the body. What? Nearly every, okay. Concentrations of adenosine receptors in the brain are quite variable, with high concentrations found in certain areas, such as molecular layer of the cerebellum and the hippocampus, and correspondingly low concentration in other areas, such as the hypothalamus and cerebellum white matter. Therefore, any antagonism of adenosine by caffeine could create scores of gradients between the dozens of specialized areas in the brain, with consequently complex results. Chronic ingestion of caffeine by rats results in increase in brain adenosine receptor density. See, usually when people like do opiates, they're like, oh, it's the opposite. It's like when you're in withdrawal, that's when like they make more receptors or something, you know. Yes, called down regulation. Yes, are you done? Yes. Adenosine inhibits blood clotting and inhibits breaking down of fats. Such opposite actions of caffeine have not been noted, but it doesn't completely rule out the possibility. Yes. In the brain, adenosine seems to inhibit release of neurotransmitters. But they're excitatory or inhibitory, and it acts as a presynaptic inhibitor of the release of acetylcholine, adrenaline, and GABA. What does this say? It kind of makes sense though, because when you have the cordyceps, you eat and you're like, this isn't. It just feels like you're eating powder. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel like it's much closer to a food than it is a drug. It feels like, and but it's weird when I've had extracts of it too, and it smells like chocolate maybe, but it's weird how food-like it is. This non-specific antagonism could explain many of caffeine's complex and sometimes contradictory actions, such as biphasic action on motor stimulation, and low doses of caffeine increase the low to motor activity, while higher doses is enhanced. Complete the picture. At least 2 different adenosine receptors occur on central neurons. Caffeine appears to bind to some of the more strongly than others, and 2 receptors have different, in some cases, opposite psychological effects. Various substituted xanthines are bind perfectly either to adenosine. What is that? Adenosine 1 or adenosine 2? It's crazy. What the fuck? Why do these down things? Theophylline and theobromine each have their own binding profile, distinct from either caffeine. So one time too, when I was doing the thing, after I started doing the decaf tea only, there's a while where I was eating the chocolate, go into Walmart and get the baking cocoa, and you have it, and god damn it was strong. It was like twice as strong as coffee, but it would go away quick. But yeah. But I didn't like it too, because they say a lot of the caffeinated things are estrogenic, and so it's like you kind of like wiry, and you're like, my feet would hurt, blah blah blah, and I just was like miserable walking around, stuff like that. That's why I was saying when I was doing this testosterone boosting ones recently, kind of just completely changed my life around in a way, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't have the energy to do this. Before I'm like, no, I'm like, shit, yes you do. Much adenosine antagonism, and this is not medical advice, of course, but when we were discussing this today about if it's good or bad to take it, but I'm like, you don't understand that nearly every single substance I know that it's psychoactive, always changes hormones already. But I guess, yeah, so. And mostly androgenic, I guess. Systems too complex to characterize some coffee's effects in an operational mode. Disciplined and sanitized phenomenological investigations for us more immediately useful. So again, this is not medical advice, like he's saying, it's just investigations. So one offered me a cup of coffee to Richard Evans Schultes. He sniffed it tersely and said, "Oh no, that's Brazilian coffee. I'm gonna drink Colombian coffee." So to end this, when I was at the gas station, I realized when it said Brazilian coffee, it said like 5 different blends of coffee. I was like, what? And then similarly, then Colombian was different. It didn't include Colombia, but I was talking with this guy there, and I realized early in the chapters, it's like Brazilian coffee is like happened through diplomacy or something, that they got the coffee source. Well, other people in colonialism, it's the opposite. So yeah, I don't know why I brought it up to the guy, but it was like, why do they have 5 different blends of coffee in just the Brazil name? It doesn't even make sense. And then I think the Colombian was decaf too, and I'm like, I wonder if they just have to they're like, fuck it, we're gonna use caffeine for something, a better industrial process, and still sell it back. But I was like, why is it this way and the other one that way? I just trying to go back to it, just thinking about they're gifted a tree, and that's sort of the whole thing. Because you think, well, where does coffee come from? And I always think, it's South America. It's not. It's just that's where it's put into by plantations and all this shit, and blah, blah, blah. We're getting off this. About the different blends. Well, let's do it one time and done. Around the world, hotter rice comes in various rows: American, dark medium Veranda, dark French, brewed with elegant consistency from a thick, muddy soup to a thin, lighty liquid. I hate when it's like really, really thick and disgusting. That's what my brother used to drink all the time, and it was like, ugh, it was disgusting. And not immediately too. When I was saying I was a little kid, I'm like, I can breathe the smell of coffee in my lungs right now. But combine in any proportion with milk, condensed milk, cream, butter, goat's curd. What the fucking eggs? I remember before you were saying lemons, yes. Sugar, lemons, cardamom, cinnamon, allspice, cloves, cocoa, nutmeg, fennel, tartamid, what? Vanilla, hazelnuts, and saffron, ginger. My favorite is ginger coffee is fire. Cinnamon is okay. Lemon coffee is really good. It's really, but it always seems like it's too much. Like you're like, oh, it's kind of like that gross taste. But goat's curd and eggs, what? And butter coffee, classic. Anyways, getting off this thing. I'm not gonna read this, but you can just look at it. The cosmic entity is main sequence blue light, huh? Tonic chord? What? There's a chord in music called the tonic? It doesn't make sense. XOR, XOR. Oh, we're getting off this. Bye. In the brain, adenosine seems to inhibit release of neurotransmitters. Whether they're excitatory or inhibitory. And it acts as a presynaptic inhibitor of the release of acetylcholine, adrenaline, and gamma-butyric acid, GABA. What does this say? It kind of makes sense though, because when you have the cordyceps, you eat and you're like, this isn't, it just feels like you're eating powder, you know what I'm saying? It doesn't feel like it's much closer to a food than it is a drug, it feels like. And but it's weird when I've had extracts of it too, and it smells like chocolate maybe, but it's weird how food-like it is. This non-specific antagonism could explain many of caffeine's complex and sometimes contradictory actions, such as biphasic action on motor stimulation, and low doses of caffeine increase the locomotor activity, while higher doses is enhanced. Completing the picture, at least 2 different adenosine receptors occur on central neurons. Caffeine appears to bind to some of the more strongly than others, and 2 receptors have different, in some cases, opposite psychological effects. Various substituted xanthines are bind perfectly either to adenosine. What is that? Adenosine 1 or adenosine 2? It's crazy. What the fuck? Why did you use these down things? Theophylline and theobromine each have their own binding profile, distinct from either caffeine. So one time too, when I was doing the thing, after I started doing the decaf tea only, there was a while where I was eating the chocolate. Go into Walmart and get the baking cocoa, and you have it, and god damn it, it was strong. It was like twice as strong as cat coffee, but it would go away quick. But yeah, but I didn't like it too because they say a lot of the caffeinated things are estrogenic, and so it's like you kind of like wiry, and you're like, my feet would hurt, blah blah blah, and I just was like miserable trying walking around, stuff like that. That's why I was saying when I was doing this testosterone boosting ones recently, kind of just completely changed my life around in a way, because there's a lot of times where I'm like, I don't have the energy to do this. Before I'm like, now I'm like, yes you do. Okay, so much adenosine antagonism cannot, and this is not medical advice, of course, but when we were discussing this today about if it's good or bad to take it, but I'm like, you don't understand that nearly every single substance, I know that is psychoactive, always changes hormones already. So I guess, yeah, so, and mostly androgenic, I guess. Systems too complex to characterize. Some coffee's effects in an operational mode, disciplined and sanitized phenomenological investigations for us more immediately useful. So again, this is not medical advice, like he's saying, it's just investigations. So one offered me a cup of coffee to Richard Evan Schultes. He sniffed it tersely and said, "Oh no, that's Brazilian coffee. I only drink Colombian coffee."